Fight on, family. Preston's Paradise here, back with another one, man. Couple things I realized and I kind of viewed when watching USC's last game on tape. And just gonna go over a couple things I think we could work on this bye week and improve on before the Michigan game next week. So it's defensive stuff. Two stuff is regarding the defensive line, and then one thing regarding the cornerback play. Now on the defensive line, when you're dealing with offensive linemen, man. And you're fighting in the phone booth and dealing with that, you gotta punch first. You cannot let a 6'6", 320-pound, 315-pound offensive lineman get their hands on you first, because 9 times out of 10 they got the longest wingspans and they got help. Especially when there's double teams, when you got a block down, a double block with a guard and a center, or you're doubling down with a guard and a tackle. This is hard to get around, man. This is hard to get around. So in regards to the double teams, right? You don't want to just accept a double team, man. A lot of our guys, at times in that game, they were doing a lot of center guard. They were doing a lot of stuff like that, doubling down into the A gap, or in the B gap. And guys were going up the middle, man. Couldn't stop the run, right? You got to see more fight. Like, if you're going to get doubled, if you're a nose or a defensive tackle, you're going to get doubled between a center and a guard. You got to fight along the line of scrimmage. You got to fight. You can't end up, 8 to 10 yards and you're falling into the linebacker's lap. So the linebacker can't fill, the linebackers can't make a play. And, those offensive linemen are getting far afield. You're getting pushed far afield. So definitely got to improve on the fight, horizontally across the line of scrimmage. And that's also how you can stop a run, right? If guys are trying to double and, throw you in that A gap or throw you outside of that A gap, then, you fight along the line of scrimmage. You may be able to make a play just by, the traffic, just by causing traffic and, filling up that lane. Also, like, before, it's all about leverage, man. Defensive, offensive line, lone man is always going to win. All about leverage. But you can't let these dudes get their hands on you first, because they got that wingspan. They got that weight most of the time. So before that stuff starts, we got to get our hands on those shoulders, and we got to turn them and control them and make a move, whether it's a rip, whether it's a swim, whether it's a spin, whatever it is. You got to make the move first. You got to make the contact first prior for them to them getting their hands on you, man. Because if you get your hands on them, you could keep them off your body, and then you could use your athleticism as a defensive lineman, to work across the line of scrimmage and get to the quarterback. If you're an edge, dealing with the tackle, or if you're an inside guy playing nose or playing defensive tackle, and just contact first, punch first is so important when I look at that film, because the ball snapped. And those guys are on us. Those guys are in our chest. Those guys got hands on us. And especially when you're dealing with double teams, especially, in those tight confined spaces, it's difficult, man. Definitely easier said than done. But there's technique to it. And I've seen our guys, practice this stuff in practice, man. I think that just needs to be, harped on a lot more going into this Michigan game as far as that. Now, as far as the defensive backs, right? I'm not a defensive back expert by any means. Like, I'm not gonna act like I am, but I think the pre-snap alignment is really big when it comes to being a DB. And that's like the first part of the technique, because you could kind of lose a rep before the ball's even snapped as a DB if your alignment ain't right. Now, this is a coaching and player thing as well. Because you got to know the alignments. You got to know, okay, they got 2 wide receivers over here on this side. They like to do this. They're probably going to do that based on their alignments. But like situation like this, where if a guy is going to run a slant and you're outside leverage on the guy and he runs an inside slant, like, you lost that rep before that rep even started, right? Like, you lost it, right? But if you're inside shoulder on him, and he's going that direction, and you're ahead of him, you know what I'm saying? But if you're inside shoulder and then, he's going the other way, then you're in trouble. So I just think pre-snap alignment, I saw a lot of situations like that last week where our guys essentially lost the rep before the ball was even snapped just because they were out of position. And that's a film room thing. That's known alignment, that's known assignment. That's knowing what the opponent likes to do, the tendencies and whatnot, and what to prepare for going into a week. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I mean, Michigan is gonna want to run the ball. Our edges, our guys on the defensive line are gonna have to be very heady, very cognizant of, Underwood and what he likes to do. He's an athletic quarterback. He could definitely run and make a bunch of crazy plays on his feet. So linebackers going to have to be locked in, spied in on that. And they got a hell of a running back in Haynes, man. So we got a lot to prepare for. But, I think the foundation is going to be the trenches, right? The trench play, especially after we saw last week. A lot of people disappointed. A lot of people, thinks this is what we are. This is what we're going to be for the rest of the year. I refuse to make that decision after one bad game. I think things can be fixed. I think, the guys are motivated to kind of show that, they're not soft and, this was just, a certain situation that it was a bad game. People were off their game and they could lock back in for the rest of the season. So that remains to be seen, but we're going to see what happens. But I definitely think the foundation is to fight across the line of scrimmage and, just be in the right position to make a play or to make a tackle. It doesn't have to be an interception or, a pass defense in the secondary, but be in position to make a tackle. Then when it comes to making a tackle, if you make the tackle or not, then, hey, that's on you. But that's also another teaching point that I think will be harped on this week as well. But just a couple thoughts, man. A couple things I was looking at as I watched that film, and just hope the guys preparing and getting ready this week for one of the biggest games of the year coming up next week. So appreciate you guys, man. If you like the videos, if you like the channel, like the video, sub up to the channel. I mean, it helps a lot, man. Let's see if we can get this video to 100 likes. That really helps us getting the video out and increasing the channel, man. You guys are the best. Fight on. Have a good one.